In today's video, come with me guys, I'm going to bring you to Pittsburgh for one of the biggest shows of the year, NPC North American Championships in Pittsburgh. And we're starting quick and right away. So I want to get into kind of how I handle prep when I have athletes, especially multiple athletes. We had about 16 or 17 competitors across multiple coaches on this given weekend. And so the goal for me is always to have everybody prepared ahead of time, but we also want to make some last second adjustments. And with bodybuilding, really the only thing that matters is when you walk out under those lights that you are ready to go. So let's start right away with Friday. Friday, I meet everybody at the gym. Now, what I like to do the day before the show, I've talked about this, is typically have a light workout, right? Sometimes I'll have people train body parts a little more intense or less intense, but after that workout, I'm going to pose with everybody. So you just saw Jen, and here we have Dawn. But the goal of these posing sessions is for me to assess muscle fullness and level of conditioning, because what I'm trying to time is the amount of food. Here's Jenny, coached by Evan Wells. What we're trying to do here is time these athletes so that when they hit the stage, they look the best they can possibly look. Now, the way that I like to peak people, if you haven't watched my videos discussing the topic, it's called linear progressive loading, where I'm starting to walk food up going into the show, bringing the cardio down. Here's Vanessa. Sorry if I missed some of these, but the whole point of seeing everybody here, and here's Megan, is, okay, we're looking at a few things. First of all, conditioning, fullness, how they're looking, how they're feeling mentally, physically. I'm not really judging their tans because this was 10 a.m. on Friday. However, I am judging their posing. I'm talking about making sure their footwork is correct. And the situation there with Jess, the redhead, with her first national show, that was Daraja Weidemoyer, sorry, is making sure she understands how nationals are run. National shows are run differently than local shows. They do groups first, then they do individuals, then they do comparisons, and where you're at on the line matters. You need to know how to angle your posing. So this is Sandra. We go over all these things when it comes to preparing the athlete for stage. And so this is Sandy Arave, who's coached by myself, and then her posing coach is Brittany Hamilton. So sometimes what I'll do if I have a posing coach is I'll FaceTime them, which I was doing here. This is Brittany Shrimp, who is in the Open Class C. She did the Tampa Pro. So this was our first national show together. Now, if you guys aren't familiar with national shows, the difference is if you win your class, you get an IFBB Pro card. For example, this is Brittany Shrimp. She was in Class C. If she were to win Class C in the Open Division, she would get her IFBB Pro card. Here is Jan Compens. She was in our Class B for the 55 plus. That's right, ladies. Masters Bikini is here. Look how amazing Jan looks. This is Sabria, who switched to me pretty recently, but I was very excited about her look, her overall shape, her beauty, her balance is fantastic. So, you know, this is, for me, sometimes this is also the first opportunity that I have to meet these athletes in person. This is Katie Longhauser. And when you have a large group like this, it's very important that I want to make them feel comfortable. I want to make sure that they know I know exactly what's going on with them, and if they need any other support. Sometimes it's also nice to get to know your community. The one thing about being a coach for more than a decade now and bringing athletes in larger groups to different shows around the country and around the world is I'm able to create a little bit of a community so they can actually, you know, compare. Now, this is actually not a division that I coach, but what I like to do is go out before the show and gauge the lighting, and then I can go backstage and talk to my athletes about their tan. So the nice thing about here, you see, they had bikini. They have the age group over 55. I'm sorry, I said I think Class B, but this is actually Class A where Jan was at. So the nice thing is they show on the side of the stage exactly what class we're on, which allows us to kind of assess. So the way they handle these national shows is they bring everybody out first in groups of 6 or 8 if it's a larger class size. Then what they do is bring everybody out for their individuals. And then according to the individuals and the groups that they first saw, they decide who's in first callouts. Now this was Jan, she was in first callouts. Now the goal is to get to the center. Typically, the way they judge these national shows, they put the better competitors towards the center of the stage, and you know, if it's an even number, it can be either side. 1 or 2 is typically going to be getting the pro card. Very rarely do I ever see it, and I mean maybe once in my entire 10 years of going to shows has it not been the case. So that is all. This is Sandy. Sassy Sandra, as we call her. She calls herself on Instagram, actually, but she's done multiple shows with me. We've been in first callouts. This show, she was not in first callouts, but she did improve. And so sometimes it can be confusing when you say an athlete improved, but their placing got worse. Well, from season to season, from year to year, you don't know who these classes are. So this is Sandy Arave. She was in 50 class A or B, I believe. This is Katie Longhauser, who is a fantastic competitor, big fan. I'm also a fan of my athletes. She was in the 45A, I believe. And both of the young ladies I just mentioned were in first call out. So another thing you have to know. At a show like this, I don't get to get footage of everybody. This is Dawn Charlton. The reason being is I'm backstage half the time, and then I have to run around. Now, at this show, it was very difficult because it was like maybe a 5-minute walk from where the athletes were backstage to where I could film them. So running back and forth, it's hard, especially when you have multiple athletes in like a similar division and you're trying to keep an eye on who's about to come out. This is Jen Gasparovich, another athlete that has made significant improvements, and we just continue to fine tune. And even though she didn't place as well at this show, we continue to get better. And so all these girls are going to be, knocking on the door to make that next step to getting the pro card. And that's the job. If it was easy, everyone would do it. You don't see a lot of coaches have the success that I have, and you don't see a lot of athletes that are, consistently getting better. This is, what this sport is about. And a pro card is honestly as exciting as it is. And here's Dawn, and guess where she's at? Dead center out of 9. Nothing more confident than having an athlete in dead center out of 9. So this is, who's in this call out? There's Jen right there. And they actually moved her next to center of her call out. So, but I believe this was the second call outs of that group. That was just a very impressive group. I'll say this, the Masters divisions have been very impressive, and there's Vanessa as well, as far as muscularity and everything. And so, it's when you go to these national shows, you don't know what the lineup is going to look like. So your job is to put everybody in the best position possible, know that you've improved, and once you get your placing, get some feedback and make sure that you're taking steps to improve. Now, this was first call outs of 40A, I believe, and you look on the far left, there's Sabria. I thought they were going to move her in. As a coach, you start to get pretty familiar with the judging standards and what they're looking for. I thought she looked phenomenal. Glutes were nice and full. What they want from her is actually a little more leg. They thought that her glutes were a little overpowering, which, hey, that's something you can work with. It's usually a little bit easier to add leg muscle than it is to add glutes. So she and I are going to be getting back to work rather quickly. Let's see here. Who's in this group? Sorry, we're jumping around, guys, so I'm not trying to be unaware, but I think that's Tiffany Lang. Yeah, that's Tiffany, my client from Canada. So we have another show in 5 or 6 weeks. I felt we weren't quite where we wanted to be condition-wise. She reached out to me maybe 6 weeks before this show, and she was way behind schedule, and we got really close to where I wanted her. So I'm actually quite excited about her. She's got a stunning look, front pose, shape. She's also got really just great stage presence. She's got a little sass to her. Confidence on stage is not something that comes easily to everybody. You can tell people that are confident up there, especially when you're at shows. We just got to come in just a little bit tighter in that back pose. That's really going to allow us to fill out. She did fill out nicely, and I was expecting her to be kind of closer to the top placings, but we will work on it. She's got the structure, she's got the look, she will be competitive. All right, so who's in this call out here? This is actually Bikini Open Class C, and what you see here is Brittany Shrimp, right of center in the light blue or teal suit. When you end in center, you're splitting, so you have a shot at a pro card. Here is Jess. This is Daraja's client with the red hair and the blue suit. She is also splitting center, so she has a shot at a pro card. She's 1 or 2, typically what you expect going into finals. So now when you go to finals and you have athletes that were in the middle, like Sandy here, you just do not want to hear their name. Guess what? Sandy wins her class, the 50 class A, I believe. No, she was 50 class B, wins and gets her pro card. So this was our 4th show of the season, 3 of those being national shows. And so it's always exciting to get these athletes pro cards. This is the over 50 Class B, and Sandy was dead center in the morning, so I was quite certain she was going to be getting her pro card. And guess what? First pro card of the day. Now, as a coach going to these shows, That's a good feeling. You break that seal, you go, okay. There's been years at this show where one year I had 4 girls splitting center and they all got second. And then last year I had a show where I had 4 girls splitting center and they all got their pro card. So, it can go either way, but you get that first one out of the way. Now, the nice thing about when you win your class at a show like this, there's 4 class winners and they put them all in a lineup to get the overall. So they kept Sandy in the middle for the over 50 overall. So I was like, okay, maybe we got a shot here. I did think the young lady in the blue, the blonde hair, had a little more shoulder pop, a little more glute pop. And I thought, okay, it's probably going to be her day. And in fact, it was. Sandy also did tell me she felt a little bit uncomfortable walking. We had worked on it. She was working with Brittany Hamilton. There's Katie Longhauser getting 5th in this class. Now, again, I didn't get all the placings. We had multiple girls get top 5s, but I did not miss any of the pro card wins. This was Dawn Charlton in the 45 over class D or E. I believe it was D. So Dawn is a fantastic competitor. This is the overall for her. So yeah, 2 pro cards, right? We're knocking them out this weekend. Always a good sign when they move your athlete to the middle of the overall to be compared. Also, I'm part judge. At this point, you're judging these athletes because you see them. I did not think this was particularly close. I thought Dawn was a standout. We will have to work on her stage presence as a pro, just working on the steps and the cadence there. But Dawn has so much muscle, so much shape. We were really able to feed her close to 300 carbs the day before the show. And, I didn't get footage of it, but she won the overall for the 45 over bikini class. And then this probably was the most exciting. I thought the other young ladies were clear winners. This one she was splitting center, Brittany Shrimp. And if you guys remember from the Tampa show, she was splitting center of her class there and got second. So I just was like, man, a little stressed, but she did end up getting her pro card. So congrats to Brittany. And then Daraja's client, Jess, ended up taking second in class H. So just barely missing out on that pro card. And then this is the open bikini overall title. Now, good memories from this. If you guys are familiar with Daraja Weidemoyer, formerly Daraja Hill, this was kind of the show that put me on the map as a coach. And what do I mean by that is Daraja Hill won the overall at the 2019 North Americans, this show. And I have that video on YouTube if you ever get bored. You want to look it up. Daraja went on to win that show, won her pro debut, getting an Olympia qualification, my first ever. And then the week after that, won her second pro show, beating Ashley Kaltwasser, who had just placed in the top call out of the Olympia. So it was kind of the show where I think some other athletes took me seriously. I've since had a bunch of people qualify for the Olympia, but Daraja kind of, kicked in that door for me. So this show will always have special meaning. It was also the largest show in NPC history. So I've got that feather in my cap of winning the overall there with Daraja. Overall, there were some great things this weekend, and it's easy to focus on like, hey, we got, 3 girls won their pro cards and another girl got second in open. But really what I'll do is speak to each of the athletes and be like, okay, what was the feedback? Some of us stayed for feedback after the show. Some of us still need to get feedback, but really what we got to focus on is like, what do we need to do next to win? This was the last kind of big national show of the year for both Masters and Open until December, right? So this was last weekend of August. I don't think a lot of the people that are doing this show are going to go all the way till December. We'll see. However, this was kind of the end of the Masters Pro season. And what I mean by that is Masters Pro cards start in July at Universe. Then you've got Masters Nationals a few weeks later. And then you've got this show a few weeks after that. So you've got, in a short amount of time, 3 opportunities to get pro cards if you are over the age of 35. Not that you can't win them in the Open, but it just gets more challenging. And these shows really offer that opportunity. So a lot of Masters athletes, and I say over 35 just because that's what the NPC classifies as Masters. I certainly don't. But the point is like you tend to, put a lot of athletes. And I think, yeah, this was my best ever year for pro cards in that window. We got 2 at Universe, 1 at Masters Nationals, 3 here. So 6 pro cards for me personally. In just those 3 shows. I think the year before we got 4 at Universe, but then I don't think I had any at North Americans last year, right? So listen, Sometimes it's your day. This was just my day. All my athletes that were in position to get their pro cards got them, but there were a bunch of athletes that I also thought that, like Sabraya, Jen, Katie Longhauser, even Sandy, like a lot of these girls that I thought could be getting their pro cards, either there was just somebody in their class, something was off, they got stressed, whatever it was. So the job is now to work with them and make the adjustments. And also, when you have success at a show like this, I'll likely have a few athletes that want to reach out to me and have consultations. And I do those consultations at no cost, because for me, it's about making sure athletes that I want to work with me, and it's a good fit, discussing philosophies and in the sport. But really proud of the work this weekend. Also, all the girls that I had turned pro were posed with posing coaches that I recommended, Lana Dunbar, Brittany Hamilton, right? So it's a lot of teamwork that goes into this, with training, with nutrition, with the cardio, with the posing, hair, tan, makeup. It's a lot. And it's a lot for a few seconds on stage. What you guys saw is what you see. You come out in a group, you come out for an individual, you come out for a call out. That's it. It's over. So months and years of work comes down to just a few seconds. So it's really important to pay attention to the details. And if you work really hard and you have a little bit of luck, you can have a day like this where, these athletes are able to get their pro cards. And then I didn't get much footage of going out after. We went to a place called Burgatory just down the street. So a bunch of us had burgers. Some people had friends and family there, but the community that we've created over the last, couple of years is also very important to me. So we had some friends in town watching the show, relatives in town watching the show. So it's just a great weekend. Pittsburgh is a wonderful city. Gary Udit is a wonderful promoter, and, just very excited to go back, do it all again. And hopefully you guys enjoy these type of videos. Comment below if you enjoy these type of videos, because, it does take a little bit of effort for me to get the camera out and film, because it's not my natural. I tend to be a person that's in the moment. And sometimes when I'm not conscious of shooting a lot of content, I will say, for everyone that stopped me and said hello, that they listened to the podcast, they like the YouTube vlogs, whatever it is, please keep doing that. It really does let me know that you guys appreciate the content and that it's providing some value to you. So overall, just thank you guys for watching, and I will talk to you real soon.